here we go for another flight today. We're pulling out from the old hangar down here at Meadow Lake or Riley Creek. We've got it fired up. This time I'm taking Mama Bear for breakfast on this beautiful Saturday morning. The night before we'd had a little bit of snow in the area. You can still see the remnants of that as we pull out here on the taxiway. Nothing on this little section right here sped up. We're just going down here and getting ready to take and start the flight, get all of our checklists done before we go. Again, I'm not a CFI, but I am just documenting the flights that we take. If you're interested in flying or learning how to fly, by all means, find you a great CFI, find you a mediocre CFI, but find you a CFI and get out here and get in the air. Some of the most fun times that you can ever have on a beautiful Saturday morning just like this. At this point, we're going to fast forward through some of the warm-up here, checklist, just so we can get ready to go. Again, I always like to slow it down here. We get to this portion where we're going to take off. Nothing like, even with just a little 145 horsepower, pushing that throttle all the way in and letting it go down the runway, watching the airspeed come alive and getting up into the air. That first few seconds is just absolutely fun. The windsock there, you can see we have just a little bit of a quartering wind in there, so making a little bit of correction for that. Just as soon as we get into the air, you can watch immediately it's coming from the north, the wind is, so we get immediately pushed over. But off we go on this beautiful morning. We're going to go out here and see what we can get into for the day. Looking down at the beauty of this, we're going to fast forward it here and we're going to go through some of the, just climb up to our altitude. Today we were only going to fly at 2,000, at most 2,500 feet, just because it's such a short trip over to Monroe County. Just wasn't really worth climbing and spending all that time getting up there high in the air just to come right back. This morning was like every other day, just absolutely beautiful going over there. You can see a little bit of the snow on some of the ground. Just absolutely beautiful day. And as we got over here a little bit closer, I slowed it down just a little bit, just so you could see flying into snow. Over there, I did have to fly into just a very, very, very light snow shower. Wasn't predicted, wasn't forecasted, but it was just kind of fun seeing that snow blow through there. As a pilot, a single engine plane, you start worrying about all the things that go wrong. I'm sitting here worried about carburetor icing, listening to the engine, make sure it doesn't stumble, or it might get too cold, ready to pull that carb heat out and let that thing get out there and warm back up. But we had absolutely no issues. It was just beautiful watching that snow fly past you. Very, very light. Posed no real danger, didn't stick to anything. Checking out there, looking at the wings, making sure we didn't have any accumulation of anything sticking to the wings, because our little plane here definitely isn't certified for flying into known icing conditions, so we didn't want to take a chance with that. But just that little bit of snow out there blowing past us just made for a beautiful morning on our way over to Monroe County. Out in the distance, you can see it was probably snowing a little bit harder out there as we start to turn in there and end up going down here in our left downwind, getting ready to land over there. Short flight, and just 15-20 minutes over there. Spend as much time almost in the pattern getting ready to put it down as you did actually landing it. So as we're coming in down here, I'm going to speed it back up. Just get up here past the downwind, and once we get to the end of the downwind and get ready to start making the turns, I'll slow it back down here. We can look at the approach coming in here today. So today there's only going to be 2 takeoffs and 2 landings. So a lot of time to just slow it down here and look and see what all we got into. Get in here for our downwind. We're going to try to land here on runway 05 in Monroe County. One of the things Mama Bear definitely doesn't like is the turns. Whether they're these turns or slow turns, fast turns, steep turns, shallow turns, she just don't like the turns. She's still getting comfortable with it. But Today, I was really struggling with speed and trying to keep it under the wide arc there of 100 mile an hour so I can keep my flaps in it. On this particular one, I only ended up with 10 degrees of flaps on this particular landing. And again, even when I turned on my final here, I'm just struggling with speed. And again, I'm critiquing this and looking at it, and I can see those white happy lights out there. The interesting thing is looking at it from this little bit lower vantage point than where I sit in the cockpit. As I came in on this one, I can see that I really wasn't that far off my glide path. But from the pilot's seat, all I saw was 2 whites. Now, I knew I was close, but I didn't think I was this close. And this just goes to show you 4 or 5 feet makes the difference as you start going through your degrees here in these landings. So for me in the seat, I'm seeing 2 whites. But as I look at it from in here, I'm seeing a red and a white, which means I'm exactly where I need to be, and I'm coming in at the proper angle, which makes me feel a little bit better because that confirms that you do have the correct sight picture, that everything that you're doing is correct. It's just, a few feet high. That's all. So as you can come in here, it goes to double red, so that means I'm a little low. But that was one of the few times I actually had that. And again, I was struggling with speed management here. I landed with a lot of ground speed or airspeed. You can see I could have got on the brakes here and really bound it down and made the turn in here. But at this point, I just went ahead and I started letting it roll out all that on its own instead of getting so hard on my equipment. I very easily could have got on the brakes real hard, made this turn right here, and safely made it over there, no issue. But there wasn't no harm. There was nobody really in the pattern. Had it been a busier day down here, I probably would have got on that, made that turn. But with nobody else in the pattern, nobody else coming in at this point, just went ahead and rolled it on down the entire length of the runway just so I could take and be a little bit easier on my equipment, especially after you come out of annual like that. Gives you a little bit more respect for how much it's going to cost to get some of this stuff fixed when it comes around. You can see we're all the way down here at the 2-3 end of the runway. We're going to go up here. I think they've got just a little bit of a displaced threshold. We'll make our left turn, and we're going to taxi on over here to the FBO, and we're going to enjoy some breakfast with friends in the hangar. Glad to see one of our people out there on the field. He made the trip this morning down there with us. Glad to see him down there. Got to see some old friends and talk to them for a few minutes and make sure everybody's doing good post-holiday. It's one of the first times we'd really got to go out there and have somebody with me. If there's anything you'd like to see this year in our flying experiences, drop a comment below. Let me know. I'd like to get out here and do some night flying. I'd like to get that documented. For me personally, I got to get caught up though. I'm behind on my currency. I've let it lapse, so I got to get out here and put some landings and takeoffs down at night. But we'll see what we can do. See if we can get that documented. If there's a place you want me to go, let me know. We're starting up here from the fuel island. Get ready to head back out here. Do it again. One of the places we've got picked out is another friend in aviation. We're going to go out here and check on him. We're going to go eat a meal with him, pay up a football bet. But we're going to go down and try landing on a grass field. That's going to be a first for me. I always like slowing it down at this point. When we get ready to take off, none of this right here is edited for fast forward. You just start seeing everything go by. You can see how quickly the world starts coming by. Rotation speed 60. And you could see when we were over at the fuel island, the wind had a crosswind in it. And as soon as the plane gets off the ground, you can immediately see we jumped over a few feet trying to get out of that crosswind. I mean, it just was pushing us over. The whole time you're thinking out here what would happen if you had an engine out on the takeoff. You've got a lot of runway left, as you can see there. You've got some fields out here to work with. From here, we're going to put it on into fast forward and start easing back over to 1210 with our full bellies and 2 tanks full of fuel. way back here. Slowed down because my camera is Wi-Fi connected, and all of a sudden we lost Wi-Fi connection. Trying to figure out what happened. Well, evidently the cold got to it. It was extremely cold and got to us. I want to thank you if you went this far. Thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Follow us on Instagram. We have some of these little clips posted. Thank you for your support. Let me know where we need to go next. Have a good one.